Open. Yes. Yeah. You are welcome to the. Are you able to see the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So now we will move on to the next session. That is mass spectrometry and introduction. Okay. So here I will give you some basic idea how these mass spectrometers will work, and what is the GC and what is MS and all, and some tidbits for the use of these instruments and all. Before going for choosing the instrument, so we have to know the basics and all. So again, this is the introduction of gas chromatograph with mass spectrometer. So all we know that because the chromatography first applied by SWET with adsorption chromatography for the separation of plant pigments using solvent, a mobile phase, and aniline powder as a stationary phase. Okay. So in Greek it is a chromatos means color and all. We all know that. Okay. Yeah. Now. So how it is possible this environmental forensics? It is possible with coupled instruments. Okay, so those days, maybe 20 or 30 years before and all, we used single instrument, that is gas chromatograph alone or HPLC alone, with different detectors like electron capture detector or nitrogen phosphorus detector or flame ionization detector, like that. But now after this advent of these mass spectrometers with the coupled system and all, so now it is very convenient as well as very accurate to go for this environmental forensic analysis, and particularly these environmental chemicals. Most of the chemicals are at very trace levels, but at that level, these chemical contaminants cause environmental, health impacts in non-target organisms or even in human system and all. So the coupled instruments are one or two more instruments coupled together for the purpose of identifying and quantifying the chemicals or so. So here we use gas chromatograph coupled with the mass spectrometer, or liquid chromatograph coupled with the mass spectrometer, or we can use more than one mass spectrometers. That is called a tandem mass spectrometers. So tandem mass techniques and all. So these coupled instruments become indispensable in achieving the lowest detection limits. So we can go for parts per trillion or parts per quadrillion or something like that. So we can go very lowest detection limits with high accuracy and good precision. So the coupled instruments help us to go for the very trace level determination of many of the pollutants which are available at very trace levels in the environment as well as biomolecule characterization and all. So you see this graph where, so in 1970s, our analytical capability is only up to parts per million level. But 1980s, our analytical capability has increased, and we were able to identify or quantify the chemicals up to parts per billion level. But in 1990s, our analytical capability further improved up to parts per trillion level. We were able to go for identification or quantification and all. But now we are going sub parts per trillion level, even femtogram level also we are going. Okay, that is a gram, milligram, microgram, nanogram. Okay, then picogram, then femtogram, something like that. Okay, so now we can go even up to femtogram level. Okay, all possible because of the coupled instruments like GCMS or GC with ICP-MS or LC with the MS-MS or something like that. And because of the advent of these coupled instruments with analytical capability, the quality assurance and quality control validity of some of the old data of 1970s and 80s are doubtful, because by the time we use only based on the returns on time analysis or something like that. So now advancement analytical instrumentation enabled us to quantify the chemicals which are not able to detect in the environment or biological samples in those years, 1970s or 80s or so. So here I wish to give you some basic idea of how to use these instruments and all. So before going for analysis, we should know that what type of analyte we are going to analyze and all. So if our compound of interest or analyte is volatile in nature and it is lipophilic in nature, so we have to choose gas chromatograph. Okay. So if our analyte or compound of interest is non-volatile in nature and hydrophilic in nature, polar in nature, so we have to go for liquid chromatograph. So this is the very basic thumb rule, how to choose the instrument and all. So many students come to my lab and ask me, sir, I want to analyze this in your instrument and all. Then I will ask, what you are looking for? No, sir, my teacher told me to go for analysis with your instrument and all. Yeah, okay, gentlemen, but I want to know that what type of analyte you want to analyze, whether your analyte is a volatile one or lipophilic one, or it is a non-volatile one or hydrophilic one. Then they do not know. So first we teachers or the students, we should know that what for we are going to do and which instrument is apt for using that particular analysis and all. Okay, this is the very basic thumb rule for choosing the instrument and all. So here I wish to give you some comparison of this chromato as well as mass spectro and all. Chromatography is the method for separation. Mass spectrometry is method for identification. Okay. So here separation and identification also possible with by using this detectors like FID, ECD and other things. But only based on the returns and time only we can do the quantification or something like that. But here based on the mass and all. So the chromatograph is the instrument for chromatography, that is separation. Mass spectrometer is the instrument for identification. Chromatogram, that is the data what we get from the chromatography technique. Okay, mass spectrum is the data of mass spectrometry, so we can get the mass of the particular chemical or so. So gas and liquid chromatography, where the chromatography is an analytical method to separate compounds in a mixer. The separation process involves mobile phase and stationary phase. Okay, so two phases are there. One is mobile, another one is stationary phase. In gas chromatography, the mobile phase is a carrier gas. In liquid chromatography, the mobile phase is a buffers. Yeah, here, how the separation takes place. Okay, for separating the compounds, we need the columns. Okay, here you can see this one. This is the capillary column. This one is the packed column. Okay, so we need the column like this. Okay. So in 20-30 years back and all, we use only these packed columns for all our analysis and all with single detectors like GC with the ECD, GC with the FID and all. But nowadays we are working mostly almost every laboratory is having this gas chromatograph, capillary gas chromatography or liquid chromatography and all. So here the separation takes place inside the capillary column. So here the separation that stationary phase resides inside the column. The mobile phase carrier gas sample carries the sample through the column this way. This is a so the sample mixer partitions between the mobile phase and stationary phase. This one is the stationary phase where it is resides inside the column and all. So the different molecules have different interactions with the stationary phase. Hence, separation takes place. So, for example, some compounds have weaker interaction with the stationary phase. Some may have stronger interaction and all. The weaker interaction compounds may be eluted first. The stronger interaction compounds may be eluted later. So, where we get different peaks at different returns on time. So, based on the returns on time, we can identify. And further, by using mass spectrometer, based on the mass, we can identify exactly. So we can compare the separation with the flow of a riverine system and all. So river water is running river water. If you throw two objects, one heavier objects, another one is lighter objects. Okay. So heavier objects will, because of the mass, it will go and deposit on the river bed, and slowly, because of the water current, it may be taken away from the origin of the point. But lighter objects, because of the velocity of the water current, speed, it automatically it will go before the heavier object and all. So this is the very basic analogy how our separation takes place in the chromatographic systems and all. So here the stationary phase and the mobile phase. The mobile phase and the stationary phase contact through a phase boundary. Okay, and different solutes have different affinities to stationary phase and mobile phase. That's what I said, weak and stronger affinity and all. So difference of moving velocity results in separation. That like a river water, when we throw the two objects, one will pass very fast and another one will at later time and all. Yeah, the separation after injecting the sample, so the analytes get separated inside the column based on the affinity and all, and finally it come to the detector where it will be detected. So the separation takes place like this. So this is the very basic schematic diagram of gas chromatograph, where we need the carrier gas, and it will come to the injection port and connected, and where we connect our column. This is the column. Okay, so one end is connected with the injection port, another end connected with the detector. Okay, where we can use different detectors like flame ionization detector, electron capture detector, flame photometric detector, something like that. So it depends upon our applications and all we can use. And the column is housed inside the oven and all. So where we have to program the temperatures. According to the temperatures, the separation is temperature dependent also, as well as the flow of the carrier gas also. And finally, we can get the data through data processor as a signal, like a chromatogram or something like that. So, and we can do further quantitation and other results. So this is the GC, where we can use it for mixed compounds like gas and liquid. So when it is a gas components, so directly it is in the gas phase. So directly it will introduced into the column by carrier gas, and each component is separated with the column and all. But when it is a liquid compound, so after injection, so where at temperature we program it in the injection port, because of that temperature, that is heat, each component is vaporized. Then the vapor is carried by the carrier gas into the column and the separation takes place. After separation, it will come to the detector. The quantity of each component which came out from the column is changed into electrical signal, and the data processor will give what is the compound and how much is present in it, like that. So we will get it this information through the data processor and all. So this is the principle of chromatography, where if our sample of interest contains two compounds A and B, so after injection, it pass on through the column through the carrier carried away by the carrier gas, and inside the column, due to interaction with the stationary phase, it gets separated and it will come out as peak. Compound A as a peak A, compound B as a peak B. So the time taken by the peak A is the retention time, and how much time peak B took is the retention time of the compound B or so. Based on that, we can identify. So this is the sample chromatogram, where we can get the peaks for different compounds. So here a normal peak form a symmetrical Gaussian distribution and all. So here, for example, this peak 4.014 minute. Okay, so that is the retention time for this first peak and all. So 5.18 minute is the retention time for the particular compound and all. So now, how to identify based on the retention times? Here, the thing is that if we inject the standard, non-standard, so the standard, if the standard gives a peak at a 4.014 minute, for example, if you take alpha HCH, hexachlorocyclohexane pesticide, okay, so alpha HCH is detected with the standard one is 4.04 minute, and if we inject the unknown sample, the unknown sample gives the same 4.04 minute, 14 minute, So we can identify that unknown sample peak is the alpha HCH isomer like that. So in earlier years and all, only the retention time is the only parameter helped us to identify the peaks and identify the compounds and all before the mass spectrometers and all. What does an analysis result shows? The time after injecting a sample until a component reaches detector is the retention time. That is time spent by a compound inside the column. And this will give what qualitative analysis. Okay, this retention time will tell us at which the peak retention time will tell us the which compound is present. For example, alpha HCH or beta HCH or gamma HCH, like that. Then, based on the peak area or height of the component, we can get the quantity of the particular analyte or so. How much is present? So that is based on the peak height or peak area of that compound. So this is the basics in chromatography. But whereas in mass spectrometry, the analytical method to measure the molecular and atomic weights of the samples. So here different elements can be uniquely identified by their mass. Different compounds can be uniquely identified by their mass. Even different elements as well as different compounds we can identify by using the mass. In mass spectrometry, the sample is converted into gaseous ions. That ionization takes place where the ionization chamber ionize the sample what we inject. Then each ion has a mass charge ratio. Then unit of the mass of ions. The unit of the mass of ions, that is atomic mass unit. So if you see the history of the mass spectrometer, so 1912, first mass spectrometer was developed by J.J. Thomson, and second, 1919, A.J. Dempster developed electron ionization and magnetic sector mass spectrometer. Then 1942 only the first commercial instrument came to the market. Please bear with some time. Some people are coming and we want to admit them. Yeah, please. Admit pending. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, gas chromatography mass spectrometry. Gas chromatography mass spectrometry is an analytical technique which combines the principles of both gas chromatography and mass spectrometry. Gas chromatography is an analytical method where the compound in a sample are physically separated prior to measurement. Whereas in mass spectrometry, which is an analytical method where the sample is converted into gaseous ions and the masses of the ions are measured. So this is the coupled GCMS system, gas chromatograph with mass spectrometer. This one is the gas chromatograph where we have to inject the samples. After separation, the separated compounds will come to the mass spectrometer where it ionized and mass analyzer will do the analyze and detector will inform the what is the mass of that particular analyte or so. So gas chromatograph excellent in separation and quantitation but poor in identification. Mass spectrometer is excellent in identification and quantitation but poor in separation. It is not a separating instrument at all. So it is only identification and quantitation instrument. So if you combine together, GCMS is an excellent in separation, identification and quantitation. So it is one of the best cutting edge analytical tool to go for environmental forensics also. So this is the very basic GCMS schematic diagram where you can find the carrier gas flow and flow controller will be there and it will come to the injector port region. So where it connected, then the sample after separation, the column, it will come to the interface and again it will come to the mass spectrometer where different ion source, analyzer, and detectors are there. Then finally we will get the data system where we can get the final data and all. Yeah, how the mass analyzer works? No? It works with the two modes. One is the scan mode, another one is the SIM mode, selected ion monitoring mode. Scan mode is good for fingerprinting a molecule, that is qualitative analysis. Quantitative analysis is also possible, but not that much accurate. Then selected. Yeah. Selected ion monitoring mode gives better detection sensitivity than scan mode and used for trace level quantitative analysis. So the qualitative analysis usually done by scan mode, where the peak identification and determination of mass and all. Whereas in the quantitative analysis, that is selected ion monitoring mode, where the creation of a calibration curve, and after that we can quantify the unknown samples by using the calibration, standard calibration graph and all. Next. Yeah, this is the chromatogram what generally we used to get from the GCMS chromatogram. So from the chromatogram, we can get the mass spectrum for individual peaks. Okay. So for individual peaks, we can get the mass and all. So the information obtained from the mass spectrum will give us the molecular weight and the chemical structure and all. What does the mass spectrometer do? So it measures mass better than any other technique. It can give information about the chemical structures and all. So what are mass measurements good for? So we can use it for metabolites, recombinant proteins, proteins isolated from natural source, drug candidates, peptides, then synthetic organic chemicals and polymers. That's what we are working on. Synthetic organic pollutants in environmental samples, environmental matrices like air, water, soil, sediment, biota, and all. So where we can do good environmental forensic research by using the mass measurements and all. How does a mass spectrometer works? So it works with three systems, where after injecting the samples, the ion source will mix the ions, then mass analysis will separate the ions, then mass spectrum presents the information. So this is the ion source. Okay, so where we can use different types of ion sources are available. Okay, that is MALDI, electrospray ionization, fast atom bombardment ionization, electron ionization, and chemical ionization also. So these ionization methods, for example, in the case of electron impact ionization, which is known as hard method, small molecules up to 1 to 1000 Daltons we can get. Fast atom bombardment, it is a semi-hard ionization method, where we can use it for peptides, sugars up to 6000 Daltons. Then electrospray ionization is the soft ionization method. Okay, so where peptides, proteins up to 200,000 Daltons and all. Then MALDI, matrix assisted laser desorption, which is again one of the soft ionization methods, where peptides, proteins, DNA up to 500 kD compounds. I mean, we can go for. Yeah, this is some of the ionization methods, that the electron ionization, electrospray ionization, then matrix assisted laser desorption ionization. So yeah, these are all some of the ionization techniques. This is electron ionization, how the electron ionization will process and all. So it makes different fragments. Okay, so this is a remarkably reproducible process. The mass will be fragmented in the same pattern every time by using this 70 electron volt electron beam. Okay, then chemical ionization again produces less fragmentation than electron ionization. Electron ionization is a hard ionization. So for chemical ionization, that ionization source is filled with reagent gas, methane, isobutane, and ammonia and all. And so energetic electrons convert methane into a variety of reactive products and all. Yeah, EI ionization is hard ionization. Chemical ionization is again a soft ionization. Again, this is what first atom bombardment ionization. Yeah, then mass analyzers. We can use different mass analyzers like time of flight, quadrupole, ion trap, magnetic sector, or so. So these mass analyzers are classified based on the resolution and all. So low resolution mass analyzers are quadrupole and ion trap. High resolution mass analyzers are time of flight mass analyzer and sector instruments. Then ultra high resolution mass analyzers are ion cyclotron resonance mass analyzers also. So in our laboratory, we are using the single quadrupole mass analyzer. This is the single quadrupole mass analyzers, where it has 4 parallel metal rods. Okay, that's one mass pass through at a time and can scan through all masses or sit on one fixed mass and all. So further to explain this one, so for example, if our 4 ions are there, only the ion with the correct mass values have the stable trajectory. This is the red one. Okay, within this radio frequency and direct current quadrupole field. Okay, but rest of the ions with unstable trajectories like this blue, the pink, and the green and all, no, collide with the rods. These 4 rods, are the walls of the vacuum chamber and are neutralized. So here, the thing is that when it is a SIM mode, selected ion monitoring mode, we choose the specific mass of the particular ion. Okay, that particular mass ion only will pass through the quadrupole separation and all. It will come to the detector and all. Time of flight mass analyzer again. So the ions are formed in pulses. The drift region is field free, and the measures the time for ions to reach the detector. This is the source. This is the detector. How much time each ions takes place. That is called time of flight mass analyzers. Small ions reach the detector before the large ones. Yeah, these are all some of the specificity of this time of flight mass analyzers. The resolving power is very high, and sensitivity also very, the lowest sensitivity we can get, that is femtomole sensitivity and all. Then unlimited mass range we can go. Again, more than 1000 scans per second we can go. Then detector, again, micro channel plate, electron multiplier, and photo multiplier are some of the detectors available in the system and all. Then data system, the personal computer will give. So here I used to give you the information that each brand of the instrument, for example, Shimadzu, they have their own software for the qualitative and quantitative analysis and all. Likewise, Agilent, likewise, Thermo, like that. So each company, they are having their specific tailor-made softwares, which will give the final results in a final form. For example, microgram per gram concentration or microgram per liter concentration or something like that. So we can fix it, the units and all, but it is very tailor-made and it is very much available with the specific companies. Okay. So some of the applications, so pharmaceutical analysis, again, bioavailability studies, drug metabolism studies, characterization of drugs, then degradation of drugs and all, screening of drug candidates, identifying drugs for targets and all. Then biomolecular characterization, proteins, peptides, oligonucleotides. Then in environmental analysis, pesticides in food, emerging chemicals in the environmental matrices, food materials also, then soil, groundwater contamination, etc. In forensic analysis, again, it will help us, this mass spectrometer. Yeah, here, what is tandem mass spectrometer? Yeah, tandem mass spectrometer is where we can use 2 or more mass analyzers in a single instrument. Okay, so first mass analyzer will purify the analyte ion from the mixture using a magnetic field. The other one analyzes fragments of the analyte for identification and quantitation. Okay, for example, mixture of ions after separation from GC or LC and all, I come to this mass analyzer 1, where single ion is selected and it will come to the mass analyzer 2, fragmented and detected. So why tandem mass spectrometry in trace analysis? Okay, yeah, the trace and the low concentrations of chemicals in environmental samples makes them difficult to be directly determined by chromatography methods like HPLC or GC or so. So where this traditional GC is of limited value and it requires time-consuming derivatization procedure, etc. and all. However, liquid chromatography combined with the necessary sample extraction, concentration, and cleanup will be helpful. And this tandem mass spectrometry with different mass ionization, electrospray ionization, which is one of the best soft ionization method, which is a method of choice for analysis of many polar compounds in complex matrices and all. So particularly in the biomedical applications and all, this electrospray ionization will largely help to go for identification of the analytes or so. Yeah, this is the cartoon. I took it from the Nature, where the doctor is prescribing the patient with the tablets, and again further he telling that take 3 times a day, or we can just drink the local water. That means local water is contaminated with much of pharmaceutical residues or so. It means that the residues are at trace levels, that is very, very minute concentration. But by using these tandem mass spectrometers or coupled instruments, definitely we can go for qualitative and quantitative analysis of many of these pharmaceutical residues in even drinking water also. Yeah, in biotechnological and pharmaceutical clinical testing and toxicology. So here we can compare this mass spectrometer with tandem mass spectrometer. Okay, so in mass spectrometer where GC or HPLC, after separation, it will come to the inlet, it will come to the ionization chamber where it get ionized, and it will come to the mass analyzer and it will be detected. Whereas in tandem mass spectrometry, where after GC, LC and all, no, it will come to the inlet, then ionization chamber, and it will come to the mass analyzer 1, where the separate ion, no, single ion is chosen, and it will come to the collision cell where it further fragmented, and the fragments, that is daughter compounds, daughter ions. Okay, daughter ions come to the mass analyzer 2, and it will be detected by the detector. So here again this 2 mass spectrometers in series. First mass spectrometer is used to select from the primary ions, okay, those of particular mass value, which then pass to the fragmentation region. The ion selected by the MS1 is the parent ion, and can be molecular ion resulting from the primary fragmentation after the fragmentation cell. Then it will come to the mass analyzer 2, that is the daughter ions are analyzed in the second spectrometer, mass spectrometer. Okay, so the fact that MS1 can be viewed as ion source for MS2, mass 2. Yeah, again this MSMS will help us. For example, this is the peptide mixer. I have only masses to start. So one peptide selected for MSMS. Okay, one ion. For example, here one peptide. Okay, so further fragmented. That is daughter ions like that. Okay, fragmented in different fashion. Okay, you just to see. So different combinations. It is fragmented, and the masses of all the pieces given MSMS spectrum. Okay. And interpretation of an MSMS spectrum to derive structural information is analogous to solve the puzzle. After this MSMS spectrum, we can get the mass spectrum of the particular compound. Use the fragment ion masses as a specific pieces of the puzzle to help piece the intact molecule back together. Yeah, this is the final one. So not everything that can be measured is worth measuring, and not everything was worth measuring is measurable. Okay, so thank you all, and again I'm here to clarify your doubts, or if you have any questions, you are most welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Myself Kavya, sir, research scholar.
Very
Sir,
good.
First of all, thank you for the very much neat presentation. Sir, is there any limitation for the instrument that how many samples can be tested in a day, or how much time does it take to test a sample to one sample?
Oh, very good. Yeah. So, for example, it depends. For example, your analyte, for example, your analyte is by using the different temperature programming and all. No, we can first to trial and error. We have to run your sample, and we have
Yes,
to
sir.
see that at particular which time the particular peak is coming or particular analyte peak is coming, like that. So then we
Okay.
can program our temperature programming and all. Then we
Yes.
can do our we can extend our analysis time, or we can shorten our analysis time. It all depends. Okay. So
Yes.
it is not a it is fixed one. Okay. So we can
Okay.
do if we increase the temperature, if we increase the flow rate and all, our analysis time will be shortened. If we
Yes.
decrease the temperature and if the flow rate is low, so the analysis time takes much higher and all. So it all depends. So we
Yes.
cannot say immediately that how much time and all, but we can do whatever fashion we can do.
Oh, thank you.
Professor, I am Dr. Rega.
Please.
Sir, can you tell us about the application oriented in case of agriculture sector?
Okay, agriculture, yeah, very good. So, for example, if you want to see some of the nutraceuticals in your product and all, okay.
Yes.
So definitely very well you can use these mass spectrometers, and we can identify what are the nutraceuticals present in your product. For example, if you are converting your product into a value added product and all, so after value added, so what is the status of your value added product and all, where how much nutraceuticals present and how what's the quantity of the nutraceuticals, something like that. So you can do many things. And in agricultural sector, even you can identify the residue levels. For example, nowadays we are exporting a lot of marine products or agricultural products to many foreign countries and all, where they look for the residues of the chemicals and all. Okay, so before exporting our products, so if we are having all these analytical system with us, normally it is taken by these exporting authorities. So they will analyze and they will certify that the products are having our permissible level of these residues and all. Then only they will export and all. Otherwise, our whole lot of this export material will be returned. Okay, the lot will be returned without this certificate and all. So in all aspects, in agricultural aspects, we can very much use this mass spectrometry in residue analysis or quality assurance. Anything we can do by using this mass spectrometry.
Yes, sir. Fine. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? Yeah, if not, you can also email me if you have any questions regarding your doubts regarding your analysis with the mass spectrometer, GCMS and all. You can email me. I will answer your questions. And one important information for tomorrow's session is that due to non-availability of this facility tomorrow morning, so we are shifting our sessions in the afternoon, 2:30 to 4:30, like that. So please bear with this inconvenience, and we will meet tomorrow afternoon by. Thank you, Wonderful.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.